It'll go live here in a minute, and then you'll just need to find the mute button, mute it, and then you'll minimize the YouTube because we don't care about that. We care about Zoom.
Let's see.
We'll go live here in a minute, and then you'll just need to find the mute button, mute it, and then you'll minimize the YouTube because we don't care about Zoom.
I'll see.
We'll go live here in a minute, and then you'll just need to find the mute button, mute it. Ah, there you go. Little speaker. Draw yourself a little speaker.
Maybe I should know about that. I don't know.
Mute YouTube.
The commission
The
office
volume.
is still closed.
That's where I was at the most, is trying to find that damn mute thing.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not open.
Okay. So then,
So that's muted, and then you minimize just this YouTube one, so you're back to your.
just minimize that one.
Can I ask a stupid question?
I do it all
I
the
just
time.
leave it
Or you
open
just-
and just
Great
let
at
the
it.
actual that.
Is the commission no longer
No.
in charge of collecting the fire fee and has? that
Zoom
been
opens
off to the
certain
sheriff's
things.
office?
And it'll let you know that it's being live streamed.
Yeah, we did.
So you'll know that it did hook to YouTube and it is being live streamed
Find
to YouTube.
YouTube in the top.
We did that this year, but yes.
You.
Sometimes. It wasn't there before.
See now that this says mute
There you go.
YouTube and minimize.
So when we
So
end
have
it,
a-
you'll have to stop your
development
live stream. I didn't put that on there yet.
Where's that go?
Gotcha.
We
I
get
just
a
started,
regular mail.
but that's how
letter
you'll
from
stop
the
it
city,
after.
and we get
End of
a red
meeting.
Over.
mail from the state.
So
So.
This is in your Zoom.
20 some.
Hey, Reggie. How you doing?
Zoom.
So the registered is like 7. Somewhere in there.
I know.
We're spending
Let's
$8.
see. So then I
to
go like
notify me
here.
of Something that there's a
And then
whole,
stop
a-
live stream.
they gotta put publicly, they have to put a little, like a realtor sign. How you doing, Twiggy? Good, man.
I must
That's
have
it?
forgotten. No,
Wait.
all the bold that I said, I knew there was something else. Okay, so you're in your Zoom.
Okay, so will it
You gotta
automatic?
find it.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Find your participants.
Oh,
See, you moved your mouse, so now you'll see it.
Yeah, I set that card.
Click the little arrow to the, well, there you go. See, you just clicked it and it pops up. That's all you need to do. Now, when someone joins, you'll see it over here.
now do I do something?
Yeah, just keep an eye on it. Stay alert. And then, I mean,
I was leaning
meanwhile,
towards it. Actually,
the people that are here will pay attention.
It's
just a retracement that come via.
Not now.
Anyhow,
No, this is
but
not-
then you'll see their name and I'll say waiting and then you'll just hit accept or whatever.
It's a stressful job, man.
I mean,
Hey,
come
You do what you
on,
gotta do.
Daddy, I
buddy.
think you can figure that
You
one
better
out.
drink it. Oh, is that right?
We go to restaurant all the time, play
Hey,
soccer, but
totally been following these boats.
I never remember there being a building
I don't know.
10 stories tall and that's
FaceTime.
a different world over here. Crazy. It is
We
crazy.
muted all this, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
You guys all- I mean, I see you all.
Yeah.
Okay.
calling the public.
All right, we're unmuted.
Oh,
I was just thinking, I can draw like things running in later, that's all.
Ambulance fee budget hearing is now in session. The annual class 2 ambulance fee budget hearing meeting is held here at 6:30. Is there everyone was signed in for the roll call? You're in trouble.
I know.
People come in here with tea. They make you feel bad. I'm sitting in cold, you know, over there, it's a sort of sleep shirts on.
You're in, bud.
We have extra meat on.
No,
you're tougher than me.
We're just fatter is what you get.
That's what I'm saying.
It's escalation. Trust me. Next week when it gets down to 10, we'll put on a coat.
How long sleep?
Naturally later. And shorts. Oh, I'll wear a big jacket at the top, but shorts down. That was it.
Alrighty, well, we will turn the meeting over for the presentation of Director Byrne.
Okay, before I start, I would like to point out that I don't think we put on the agenda for public comment, but I would think we probably should have that unless you want to count the public comment that we're having in the regular meeting for this. I don't, since you won't be voting on this until the meeting, but I just want to bring that up. You'll decide which one to do.
Which one do you pledge allegiance?
Yeah, let's do that.
Seven? I'll be well rehearsed.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as far as public comment, we can just move it to the main meeting because
There's no one here, so there's no public.
There's no problem.
no public to comment.
So I don't have a PowerPoint presentation or a dog and pony show for you this year at all. I don't even have a handout other than these handy dandy numbers here. What we've done historically here is the ambulance fee hearing. We kind of preview our budget request for FY 2024 because the ambulance fee revenue is a portion of the funding. So you know, you guys get the report every month that shows you what we're spending the ambulance fee money for. It's kept in a separate account, and it is used for payroll, fringe, and 20 or 25% of auto and liability insurance. So it is dedicated to labor. And then that's and I put that you have that in the month to month, that's in your packet tonight. I'll be going over the as a whole, the FY 24 budget request. And so you can see in the column on the far left, the current, the total of that, or FY 23 allocation, FY 22, FY 23, FY 23 allocation. These years mess me up. Yesterday, I put out an assignment that was due on January 1st. And in one place, I wrote it as January 1st, 2022. And another place, while I was thinking about the budget, I wrote it as due on January 1st, 2024. I missed the right year 2 different ways. But by February, I have it figured out. Anyway, the 4048871 is our total allocation. 900,000 of that comes from ambulance fee. The remainder comes from the general fund. So the far left column, this is what we're working with in our current FY 23 budget. The next column over is inflation, and that is just predicting for some of those items such as workers' comp, Medical insurance always goes up. Typically what happens there is they come in with it can be, say, a 10% increase, and then we will go back and ask for consideration. And sometimes, a lot of times they're nice to us and they lower our increase to 5 or 8%. I think I have that budgeted at a 10% increase. Ancillary benefits, I'm sure fuel is going to be more expensive next year, along with pretty much everything else in that column. There's generally a 6 to 10% increase projected for inflation. The next column that says 1.9% YOS, that is the years of service increase, wage increase for our employees. Here at Jefferson County Emergency Services Agency, we don't have cost of living increase, merit increase, longevity pay, all of those different categories of ways that increase people's pay. All we have is 1.9% per year in our pay scale. So that's why we asked for that. The fourth column here that says ambulance operation, these are the increases that are anticipated for JCESA to operate the ambulances rather than staffing ambulances operated by the volunteers. And these numbers are what I presented to the commission in July, I believe. This is the six units during the day, 5 units at night plan. These are the additional costs to take care of that. The anticipated revenue at this point from ambulance billing is looking at like 1.4 million. However, we'll start incurring some of these costs before any of that ambulance billing revenue is remitted. So the commission has authorized, for instance, in the labor section up there, the top 2 sections, they've authorized ARPA funding to fund those positions. I think they did it through the end of this fiscal year. It may have been into the first quarter of next year, but for a period of time until the ambulance revenue does start appearing. So that brings us to the mission critical, which is the sum of our current plus inflation plus the 1.9% plus the ambulance operation cost. And the total there is 5.8 and some change. The next one, which I'm sure will just put some people on the floor as it did me when I did the tallies, is the wage parity request. And that's expensive. We can go over this pay study now because it explains that whole column. We're looking at the jurisdictions around us. We are 20-30+% under what others are paying. And that has a lot to do with why in the last 4 or 5, in the last several months, I want to say 4 months, but I may be wrong on that. We've had an application, we've had a notice out for full-time paramedics, and we have received to date 3 applications. One, we set up interviews for 2 of them. One was a no-show. One showed up, but revealed that he didn't even have an EMT certification, despite checking the boxes on the application that the paramedic has no certification whatsoever, but would really like to work here. I was really impressed with the fact that when they gave him the written exam, they realized after the fact that they had mistakenly given him the answer key. And he performed very well on the test. I would certainly prefer a candidate that comes and says, hey, I think you probably shouldn't have given this, but hey, whatever. Completely unqualified. And then there's a third one lingering out there that we're having trouble making contact with. So, in these months that we've been attempting to hire, we have 0. And March 1st is rapidly approaching. And so we're looking at what we're going to do to fill that gap. We may end up, we will most likely, part of this plan was to get the lieutenants off of a first 2 ambulance. We will likely have to keep them on there for a while. That will save us 4 positions for a little bit. And then we may have to run one BLS truck in place of an ALS truck. So it may, may have to go like that. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and that is the next thing I have in here is the EMT bridge program. Captain Horn and others in the region and Blue Ridge have all been working very diligently to come up with a way, because we're not the only ones, to come up with a way to turn EMTs into paramedics while they're working on the job, which has not been, if you go to Fairfax, you go to Frederick or whatever, where they do a paramedic academy, it's no problem. You're on the clock, you're working, they just detail you to the academy for a year, and that's what you do 40 hours a week. Here, it's always been, you need to come with it, or if you come here and you work as an EMT, and now you want to go upgrade to a paramedic certification, then it's on you to go wherever through a 2-year program and jump through all their hoops and do all the silliness in between clinicals and class times and everything that comes with it. It really just does not work well for somebody who's trying to work a full-time job and get all that done. And it's a big expense. So what they worked out now is the tuition will be free, books will be covered. Our expense in this would be that we don't want our employees to lose money. So they're looking at, they've come up with some smart things, like a lot of the lecture stuff, the didactic material is going to be online. Should have been that way 20 years ago, but it takes a while. So that's going to cut down on some of the in-class time, but they're going to have class on Monday or Friday. So they'll have to be there 8 hours a day on Monday or Friday. There'll be like 2 groups, and there'll be a Monday group and a Friday group. So if we have somebody that's enrolled in this program and they're working a 24-hour shift on Monday, I don't want them to have to use leave or be unpaid for that 8 hours. Right? The money I'm looking for is to be able to backfill them, be able to send them, detail them to that class and say, we got you, stay on the clock. The other part of the money will come in. One of the things that we recognize that may be contributing to why we've not had so much success before is that when people want to go become a paramedic and they tell us they've enrolled, we tell them, good luck, let us know when you pass. And so one thing we've come up with that may help is that I'll tell you about the liaison in a minute, but we'd have one of our people in-house, an in-house mentor that's staying close to these people, and whether it be once a month, once every 2 weeks, once a week, we're not quite sure yet. Bring them in here for 4 hours together and go, okay, you guys did cardiac this last 2 weeks in class. We're going to drill on cardiac practicals. We're going to go over whatever in the book didn't make sense to you, or whatever in your slides wasn't clear. We're going to really try and invest in their success at this program rather than just kind of handing them off to Blue Ridge and hoping it works out.
So on this EMT bridge program, how many people on staff right now have shown an interest?
We started with a list of 18.
Okay.
And the first requirement that we put forth to them is that there were 3 or 4 information sessions that Blue Ridge was holding that explained the whole program. The first requirement we put forth was you need to attend one of these, and then after these are over, Captain Horn put out a date of, okay, now that this is done, tell me now who's interested, and I believe we're at 7.
Correct.
7.
That's to go to the
Do
paramedic.
we have a finite chair number? In other words, does Blue Ridge say, okay, JCS, you only get 4 for the class?
5 per agency, and then they have 10 wild card seats.
Okay.
So
What's the time to start?
So they'll start January 7th, and they will be June getting their A. By June 1st, they should, assuming they're successful, and we're going to assume that,
6 months.
they should be
That's awesome.
EMT advanced, and then they will go, there's a break. So they're going from B to A, that takes 5 months, and then they're going to take like a 3-week break, and then they're going to go from A to paramedic. And that'll take from June until November, December. So by this time next year, theoretically, we could have 7 paramedics instead of 7 EMTs.
And I don't know if these are conversations now or later. So if we send 7, is there any type of, we would like you to stay here and work for the next 6 months or a year based upon all these things that we are supporting you?
Public funding paying for it.
I mean, is there, has that been talked about? Is that a?
It has at length.
Okay.
And so I'll tell you what the discussion is, because I anticipated that both this board and the commission would want to see something like that. And there's a couple of things to consider there. One is that we're not paying the tuition. They're going to be investing a lot more on their own time than what we're giving them. We're going to be basically detailing them and making sure they don't lose money or leave on the class days where it lands on their schedule, and then the in-house like mentoring thing. But they're going to have pretty much 2 8-hour clinicals a week that's on their dime. And when they're not scheduled to work, it'll be, so 3 out of 4 classes a month, 3 out of 4 days, that's on their dime to go do that. So this is a very.
So they've got to pay for those clinicals?
No,
But
but,
there's, okay,
but they.
let's not use the word dime then, because they're not paying anything.
Sorry,
for
their
it.
time.
Their time, okay.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
Who's paying for these?
we all give our time of our job that we're not reimbursed for. I mean, I'm not saying this in a way that I want to discourage anybody. I just want to make sure that the support that we are providing as an agency, as a county, and as taxpayers, we don't end up spending time and money covering shifts,
Mhm.
getting people. This is a very difficult thing. I don't want us spending time and money, and then once they become paramedic, they leave and go get the bigger money. And I know that that probably is something that's gonna happen.
But if we did pay that, we could, I mean, you're talking about 7 people, that's Blue Ridge 2-year program, that's about 20 grand. It's not, I mean, it's a lot of money, but.
Yeah, we're not, so the tuition and the books and all that expense is covered by, they have a grant.
Okay.
Development.
Oh, okay. So we're not paying tuition, but neither are they.
Right.
Oh, okay, well then, yeah.
The other thing, the other analogy I have for that is that if I want to go work at the dispatch center, I can go do that right now, making $5 an hour more than we start EMTs at. And I'll be on the clock the first 6 months while I'm training to be a call taker. And then I'll be on the clock the next 6 months while I'm training to be a dispatcher. So you'll pay me a year's salary to provide me with this training. And yes, there are absolutely people that go through all that training at the dispatch center and then go, you know what? Loudon pays a lot more, I'm going over there.
So is it fair to say we could have this discussion once we get some weight?
Same
carried?
token.
That's what it sounds like, I mean, that's fair.
I think these are all good. I completely understand and know that. And
We don't pay
some
enough.
works for the federal government, it happens all the time.
Some feel like, and this argument I think is sort of valid, so I bring it out, you all decide, I'm putting it out here. Some feel like if we as an agency, we know we're in a jam and we need paramedics and we've got a problem, and we're going to these people and saying, look, we need medics, we'd really, we'd like you to do this. By the way, you need to sign here that, you're not gonna, I don't know, might be considered like insulting word.
That's any job.
Some of
That's any
these,
death contract.
some of the people that have applied are, they're lifers, they're like me, they're here because they want to be here.
Right.
Not because, it's the money, it's because this is their community where they want to be. And I don't mean like, oh, we can abuse them because they're never gonna leave. I don't mean that at all. I just mean that their reasons for being here are beyond anything else.
What's your input on it, Wiggy and Ross?
I just got killing it, I'm not sure what's, but
If
I guess
we-
what you were saying that if the agency put out money for somebody to take paramedic was, you want them to kind of sign an agreement to say that we'll stay here X.
Give us a
time.
year.
And I don't have a problem with it because really, I'm pretty sure it's how my son got in city park. They pay his paramedic schooling. And he had signed an agreement. However, now if he decided to leave, then he would have to prorate it, pay him back.
what they invested.
what they invested in. So it's not a bad deal. It's not nothing unheard of. And as far as the other part, this is like, with Shepherdstown Police Department, same thing. It's always a stepping stone. They get in there, they get sent to school and all that, and off to go. It's a hard battle to beat.
The year wouldn't be outrageous though.
But it also,
That's
it would be different if they were putting out the 20 or $24,000 or whatever it is
Right.
for them to get, but it's on a grant. So you have to look at that too, you know, so what's it costing the agency? Whatever it costs to backfill their time and to pay them while they're doing the class.
It's costing more than that, because he's put time in it to get this program underway. They get that opportunity because they're in this agency, not because,
Yeah, but there's also other agencies that are doing,
but they don't have them right now. They're not working there.
I understand that.
We took one of the 5 or 7 slots that we get and sent somebody to class. That saved them $24,000. So there is, I mean, there is a
It's an
cost,
opportunity.
right? The opportunity to even be able to do it.
It's really
As far as. them
Like I
students-
said,
So you don't leave,
Fairfax does it. I've been, when I went to Fairfax school, I signed the line. I'm gonna work here a year, or I'll pay you back X number of dollars.
you don't agree with that?
It's the way it is.
no, I'm not.
No, I'm just so we know.
I'm just trying to weigh both sides of it.
Shoot, we got one.
If they're staying on.
See, I even
top
think it's better.
For
then
8
you
hours
pay-
of training.
Pay me to come
That
in
money
and
is
fill,
being paid by the county.
He's on
That's
shift.
not being covered by the grant.
and I
So
gotta
in
be at that
essence,
class on Monday.
the county is still.
I'd
paying
rather you
something
show up for my
them to
class,
do the
I mean, you
training.
show up my shift on
So I
Monday,
don't think
and
there's
pay me
anything
overtime,
wrong
or
with
ten on
that.
Friday. That gives him an incentive to be one to do it.
Even if it's nothing more than a year.
To get the better knowledge, not paying somebody that didn't get the
To
knowledge,
ask something in
to come
return.
to a position.
I'm like,
You know what I mean?
I see no side.
I think it's more incentive to pay the person that's taking that class to the overtime money,
But
to get that.
the way I understand it, like the Monday and Friday thing is either you're assigned to Mondays or Fridays, you can't do either or, is that correct?
It rotates, like this week, you're gonna be Monday, the next week you'll be Friday, so it rotates. It's not, it's not either or. You should be.
You see, like,
From my
in
understanding.
So
Fairfax, they
you're
went to-
assigned to one.
through GW, they did the fact that Monday and Friday are the same, and most likely the same shift isn't working that day. So you can attend on a Monday or Monday or Tuesday. So whatever you were off shift, you could go in on that day. And they paid them overtime to do it. That gave the influence of not having to backfill when the person's actually taking the class. It's set by overtime. So I don't know if that's something you can approach them with or not, you know what I mean? I don't know how their numbers would work out, but you know your shifts, so you would be able to give them a direction which way.
I mean, if we have the opportunity to sort of say, hey, can you get these people in group A and get these in group B, we'll certainly try to do that. And then we're gonna have to get them to definitely don't put all 5 or 7 of these people in one group.
They're doing something that's pretty interesting. They're hiring liaisons. So City of Martinsburg, Berkeley County, Morgan County, and us are all gonna have a liaison that's paid by the college. So that person will kind of work. Now, it's not saying our people, we won't have our experienced paramedics helping as well, but they're being paid by the college to help facilitate our people through this program. So that's kind of a good deal. We're not paying for that. We're normally fully would be paying for that. So, but Chief Burner is kind of committed to that, assisting whatever needs to help us get these people, make them successful.
So I think that the best part about that liaison thing is that it'll be one person from each agency that's doing most of the instructing up there. So how fantastic it is that each of the 4 agencies is gonna have one of their own people in there. I think that should produce a really good class in my mind. Because it won't be the Berkeley way or the Jefferson way or the word, everything comes together.
And just one other thing, as those people move up, then there's opportunities for EMTs. We've got a full EMT class starting in January the 9th. So like the waiting list, it's over full. So might have some opportunities to see how people do and maybe select from them to fill those spots in as the others move up. And that's paid by public service.
If this is we're very optimistic about the CMT bridge, and assuming it's successful, we think our dream of being able to hire people based on their work ethic, attitude, aptitude, all those things, and then make them into EMTs and make them into paramedics, then get them that training that they need. Not to say we won't hire people that are already EMTs or medics, but it opens up a whole big world of candidates then.
That's great, yeah. Yeah, no, I know you had said y'all been working on this a long time now, that's all.
It's been a pipe dream for a long time, but things just kind of have come together. So that's the EMT bridge column. And then the total request, that ungodly number there. Would you like to go through the pay study? What time is it? Okay.
And that 114, that's just what we're gonna try to backfill those guys on phone, basically.
It'll be backfill, and if we bring them in here to do you know, a practical or you know, a study group or something like that. But most of that, yeah, it's gonna get eaten up in backfill.
How have the possible participants, have you talked to them at all about signing for the year to say, hey, we'll stay a year, or?
I have not. I don't know. Maybe the years.
What was your input on it, Sarah? You're close to the town for long.
Always have the unpopular opinion.
Okay.
I believe that they should be contracted for at least 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
Those, I was just saying, and I'm not disagreeing with Sarah, I'm not agreeing, I'm just saying that perspective is a big part of it. So there are those of us that we paid for it ourselves when it wasn't on a grant, and we had to hustle and figure out how to do things, and I think that's probably where she's. I could throw.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think the people that are interested in taking it, majority of them are going to stick around no matter what happens.
It's a truly career oriented.
Yes.
A year is not.
It's a great investment for them, even if they have to stay here a year, 2 years. It's an investment.
Yeah, if I get my.
It's a weird thing because it's sort of like a prenup.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, you know, well, if you're gonna do this anyway, you shouldn't mind signing it, or you should trust me that I'm gonna, you know what I mean? It seems weird like that.
I don't think everybody's in agreement on at least a year, man.
So how would we go about getting that into your program?
Oh, when we get to it over here, when I ask you for the money for it this year. Make that with that.
All right.
No motions in the hearing. Is there anything else that board wants to hear from me on this part?
We're basically asking for almost everyone. Am I looking at him?
I believe so.
I agree, 100%. I'm just not sure.
Well, when you hear me getting kicked out of the Charlestown Library basement. Because they think I lost my mind. If I get kicked out of there, you do something wrong.
I saw that episode.
All right, anything else to come before the ambulance key budget hearing? All right. We will adjourn the meeting. And we'll go ahead and open the meeting for the emergency services. Making sure that everybody signed in.
Can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
everybody's paying, especially people working.
All right, gonna call the meeting to order. And even though we did the pledge the last time, I think it would not hurt us to do it again. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyone with public comment? Approval of the minutes. Everyone get a chance to look them over.
Approved minutes as written.
We can second it. We approve the minutes as written. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Well, so far, since the last meeting, we have put through 23 checks for a total of $116,000, $116,026.19. It's pretty much the report.
Have a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Second.
Second.
Moving in second, we approve the treasurer's report. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion passed. Alrighty. Bids for the vehicles. I have, I'm just getting them out. I don't know, whatever order they were in.
I'm trying to, how do you?
Huge complicated answers right there.
This thing lags. Sorry, I should have brought this.
Oh, you got a sweet letter open over there, it's ready to go, yeah. That's a part thing good virus all.
I guess you just open them all up and then you all just stop.
Well, as I open them, I'll just let them know. Here's one from Eric Brickard for $700.
Which vehicle, which
For the
one?
ambulance. For the Freightliner.
2011 Freightliner.
How's the rest of you?
And here's one from Gary and Vine's second for $800 for the Freightliner.
I do know, Jacob, that like those yellow shoes, if your wife bought it, you grab it.
That's true. Oh, yeah, no, I'm driving ambulance. If nothing else to harass you guys.
And here's one from Thomas Custer for $1,001. For the free line. And that's what we opened up first. And there's only 3 of them. I think there's no question, go with the highest bid.
I so moved to sell the 2011 Freightliner ambulance to Mr. Thomas Custer with a price of $1,001.
A second.
Moved and seconded that we sell Thomas Custer for $1,001. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Now for the expedition.
There you go.
Shoot. What?
Did you see the way he just flipped out his switchblade there? I saw that.
What's wrong? They don't like anticipation.
Drum roll.
Dirt waiting for me home. Can't stay here too long.
First one is a Michael Pryor for $1,000 on the expedition. Eric Rickard, $1,600 on the expedition. James Lancaster, $2,010 on the expedition.
That's the wheel of fortune. 2,000 and a penny.
Thomas Custer, $4,101 on the expedition.
101, you said 2,000.
4,101.
Great job.
The final one is Alexander DePeck for 1,000.
So it's, yeah, I don't know.
I have a motion.
Yeah, what was his name?
Thomas Custer, $4,101.
I move we sell the 2012 Ford Expedition to Thomas Custer for $4,101.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we sell the expedition to Thomas Custer for $4,101. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed?
Yourself up on a small food.
All right. I tried to mark them.
Okay.
IFF report, none. Correct, Mike, none. No report.
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
JCESA JCFRA?
Yeah, a couple things. We met this past month. Very little discussion on levy because we were gonna wait till after the first year to kind of get the feel of the commission once the new commissioner gets on board. And we're still waiting for some information from the gentleman we've been talking to. So not much on activity that one now. We went over a couple of OGs. One of the divided highway OG. Mike Schweitzer is gonna develop that, bring it back to our next meeting. We updated the one OG on structure fires in the K boxes, which is the tanker boxes, and the fifth engine to that for water supply. There's been some confusion the past 3 months, but sometimes we're getting 5 engines and sometimes we're getting 3 engines, but just think that with this dispatch error. So, and the other one, another thing we talked about was the Knox box, something we should have done 15, 20 years ago, but we want to get a better accountability of keys. So long story short, we're gonna wait till after the first year, because Knox is closed for holidays. I did talk to Jonathan Knox last week for a short time, or 2 weeks ago. But more likely it's gonna be put like under one umbrella. Like what we're looking for is only like 2 or 3 individuals would have the permission to order keys. And then each department can order their own boxes if in their first 2 areas. That's the whole thing that we're looking for. Because right now it has been a confusion mess for the past 10 years, 15 years. There've been several departments with different names on it. Some of the names are no longer active. That the Knox list has not been updated. That's just all our own fault, so to speak. So now that we're moving forward with everything, we felt that this is the best way to get and maintain a good accountability of all Knox keys in the county, since we do operate the same keys. So that's why I emailed Bob.
Let's talk after this. I'm not ignoring you, but
Okay.
yeah.
And I had a
Whatever you
discussion
want to
with
say.
John Lander, and I know Sarah was started it, but yeah, so I told him to kind of stand by until.
Sounds like we encountered some of the same confusion that I think is making a little more sense.
So I think, and all said and done, it's gonna make a lot easier for everybody, so to speak, and good accountability keys, because we don't want people. What we've heard about the company A's calls Knox because they get permission, we want a key. Well, we want to work at the company's A's key to begin with. Did you break it? Did you lose it? Did you give it to somebody? That has not been a problem in the past, knock on wood, but we don't want it to become a problem, so that's why we wanted to do this. So that's what the direction we're moving forward with the Knox box. And another thing is, Shepherdstown Fire Department about 6 weeks ago had our radios reprogrammed to where they're not preferred site, which means they can roam. Whatever hits the best tower, either Blue Ridge site or North Mountain, whichever one, whichever one preferred, that's the one it goes to. All the radios in the county has always been to the preferred site, which is Blue Ridge. Since that was done, it had made a good improvement for our radios. I'll bring it up to you guys. I think then the ESA just get new portable. I think you're in the process of getting the program whatnot, but
They're
I
done,
would ask that question.
they're done and it's done.
It is.
He did it that way.
Okay, because I know the other departments have not been given this opportunity yet.
Are you getting any success like on the college campus? Is it getting any better there?
It's gotten better. It's not 100% fixed, but yeah, it has gotten better, yes.
I just know that was one of the big.
Right. The college and Maddox farm area is always worse, but yeah, it has been an improvement.
Cool.
But the other departments have not been given this opportunity. So I don't know why, but I just felt that all departments, and I brought it to association, they need to ask questions, how come we can't get ours that way? And I want to make sure that you all got yours done that way.
We're rubbing.
This one.
I guess that's correct, but I don't know. That's where it is, and of course, we do have a temporary tower set up at Station 3. Provided by the State Office of Interoperability. To do a study to see if a tower in our area is going to be beneficial and
I can almost guarantee it could definitely be beneficial. With the hopes of working with Shelby University and ourselves and the Shelby Sound Police Department, we're hoping within a year we, if this temporary tower does prove, which it is proving, then maybe we get a permanent tower in that area to make life a whole lot better for everybody. So, and then last thing is, you won't get to have to listen to my smiling face next year because the rotation is now moves the company forward. So Chief Watson will be sitting here. Sorry, well,
I don't think he smiled so much.
Huh?
In the last 6 years or whatever I've known you, I think you smiled more right there.
No, I'm enjoying it, but don't, trust me, I'll be out there because I'm
Yeah,
working.
he'll be right there.
I'll be biting my tongue though. Here I can let it rip.
He'll be right there because it's just.
But no, Chief Watson is to do the rotation. He's got this coming year for the association. So I think that's all I've got.
All right, thank you, Ross. Oh, director's report. Okay, I got way too much on here, so Debbie's listed the holidays here as number one. Number two, TV grant request submitted, got one.
The electronic stethoscope, they can hear difficult airway, respiratory sounds. We don't really listen to heart sounds, but we do listen to airway stuff. Second was a mannequin that actually reproduces heart sounds and airway sounds. Instead of listening to CD or something on the TV, it actually, you have to go to the right spot on it. Third thing, air pack, there was an air pack in there, but I don't think it was going to be this time around, if I remember correctly. Just for training. Oh yeah, we're still looking at point of care testing, which is basically like when you go to the hospital and they do lab work. They draw blood and do lab work. And this will actually kind of just a little finger stick and draws a little lance it up with blood, or take the lance and hit the blood on the little strip. You put it in the machine, little cartridge in the machine, and it runs those same lab results. Which is good for kind of getting the baseline set. What it eventually will, when it's able to check troponin, which is a cardiac issue, can tell someone if they're having a heart attack, what's the significance of their cardiac condition is by that troponin level. That's not in that yet. They haven't developed that yet, but they're working on that. So as soon as that gets developed, we're going to probably be a little bit more aggressive, at least getting one to learn to train on, and also maybe going into supervisor buggy when that goes into place. There's also a little bit of licensure, CLIA licensing that needs to take place along with that, which is a little bit of a challenge that we're going to have to face that we don't want to. That's it. It's cool.
You should know something by Friday. What's good?
Keep going.
Hang on, I thought we were done. The next item I have is requesting approval from you folks to, so we're gonna get to the FY24 budget request for your all's consideration on that. And in that I've asked for $114,000 to fund the EMT bridge program for 1 year beginning July 1st. However, the program is starting January 7th. So I would like to be able to fund that for the remainder of this fiscal year to get these people started. So I would ask for funding up to $60,000 to fund the EMT bridge program. And I spoke with our accountant this morning, and I had the same opinion. I asked what he thought. I didn't give him my opinion first, but I said, what would you recommend? And he said, I would recommend funding that out of ambulance fees, because what more appropriate thing than training EMS providers out of that? So we are okay with that out of the that reserve that's in there. And this is the point where you tell me what condition you want to add on that.
Well, I just want to make sure I understand.
If you want to.
You said 60,000, of the 60,000 instead of the 114?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's
What
just,
am I missing?
that's
One
just
more
for
thing
part
kicks
of
in
the
after
street.
July.
Oh, got it. Sweet. All right, so we don't have the money earmarked yet, but the idea is it's gonna be part of this additional that we're asking the county for.
no, it'll come out of, James, it'll come out of the ambulance fee account. There is a small reserve in there from, I think I've explained this before, like the first year that they collected the ambulance fee, that they weren't allowed to use it. We won't get it all started, but I'm with you, Chief. Same thing, but I think this is a good use of that.
I move that we approve the funding of the EMT paramedic program for the remainder of fiscal year 23 on the condition that they sign 12 months after certification contract to stay with the JCESA. That's pretty industry standard. That's not a big ask really. But that's from time to serve though, not. It's going training. That makes sense.
So are you talking about like a 1-year commit with
After they
payback,
get.
prorated payback, Yeah.
After they
or
get
just flat out 1 year period?
They should give, I mean, they should give us a 1-year commitment, and they won't pay it back, but I mean, we aren't paying for
No,
it.
I guess that's my question. If they leave us in a year, are you asking for prorated or just want the 1 year all or nothing?
Is there also a time frame from when the class is finished to when they must have the certification in hand or take the exam?
No test it.
A year.
Class.
So
That's what's supposed to end in.
we're asking for a 2-year
No test it in
commitment,
the class,
basically.
I'm sure.
1 year for training, 1 year for work.
Whether there's some certification classes where you have 12 months after the end of the class in order to register and take the exam.
And that's registering, wait, but they will test at least once a year.
Yeah, I do.
And
I didn't know if you
Blue Ridge,
caught it.
like every other university, they'll give a test before they let them take the.
My condition would be once they start, 12 months.
My question is, at what point then would that 12-month begin?
Once they're officially
But
certified.
before we continue on with the discussion, can we get a second?
Oh, yes.
I'll second.
Okay, now we can continue with the discussion. All right, it's been moved and seconded, so further discussion.
I think,
So,
I think it needs to be a prorated because of the fact that not only is it, I think it's one of those things where someone goes to another department or whatever, or just decides 6 months into it, as we are seeing here, things come up in people's lives. And I'm not so sure that I want to say, if you don't go 12 months, you owe us all our money back or whatever.
Yeah.
It's prorated.
I agree with the prorated approach as well.
But it's from a grant, so are they gonna pay us back that grant?
I don't think that it would so
We
much
have
be the grant money, it would be the amount invested for the manpower to cover their shifts.
Yeah,
That's
all-
the expense that would come from us.
That's all we're talking about is with the money we have invested in.
Okay. Give us 12 months or. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, I know there was, you were talking about time to receive the cert. That be all included also time to get done to precept, but even though they receive the cert, they might not. You were better precept, correct? Am I saying that right?
No, you're right.
I mean, it might fail miserably on the precept, it might not. I mean, it could happen, correct?
We have faith in our people,
I don't
but
think-
that is a possibility.
But I
I
mean,
don't
that's
know the
what-
right terminology, but the day they're fully able to work as a paramedic on their own,
All precept.
Well, that's different, yes.
that's what I would say.
Once they become
Yeah.
a clear paramedic provider.
There's just two pieces of this. There's the EMT advance, which is gonna stop at June. So some may not go to the next, they might not take that next level. There's at least one that's gonna pick up. He's already got his EMT advance, is gonna pick up from there to get his paramedic. So there is a future piece to it, so.
There's a 2 point to that, 'cause I didn't know that. But to me, if you commit to the first part, you better commit to the second.
Yeah, because y'all need paramedics, you don't need EMTs. I mean, you do, we all need.
And then
advance-
can do a few more.
EMT advance is an
Paramedics,
advanced level
everybody's like
provider.
that.
To me, if you
That
don't
does
commit to
it.
one, commit to the whole thing. Because
I'm sorry.
if
Kevin,
not
Kevin,
six,
go ahead.
a year from now, you're going to end up where they're going to take out the EMTA again. You know what I mean? They played with those positions for how long? There was an EMTI here, and there was, you know what I mean? They wiped them out years and years.
Kevin, what were you trying to say? I'm sorry.
An EMTA is considered an advanced level provider or they're not a paramedic, but it is considered ALS in that realm.
So this program is not 100%. I'm going from an EMT basic to my paramedic. There is a stage in between where I go, I can start, and if I don't want to become a paramedic, I can become an EMT advanced and finish the program, get certified.
Okay, that's fine.
How many?
I can put whatever level they desire to get.
Yeah, just tell us up front what you want. I mean, or.
I still think, even though I think we're taking time and commitment, no matter if you go from an EMTB to an EMTA or an EMTB to a paramedic, I think there needs to be that commitment shown towards the agency by the employee.
Do we want to do 12 months? Wow.
I would
That's
say
not-
12 months, no matter what your certification
Correct.
becomes.
So if you stop at A, it's 12 months from your A, and if you go to P, then it's 12 months from B.
Right. I mean, it's,
That's fair. I mean, what do y'all, I mean, Sarah, the Captain, what do y'all? I've got to think how to word this motion.
We could, I mean,
Well, you already.
kind of
made the
giving
motion.
them direction on it, so they can write the
Okay.
What do you have?
stipulation on the.
Yeah, I think your motion, the way you read it, will actually work, because what you're talking about now is sort of the details of how the agreement has to be written.
Because it'd be two different certs, right? Is that fit, yeah?
Yeah, but I mean, you covered the 12 months after certification in your motion, where they pay back, and I think you even said prorated, I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I think that the other stuff you talked about the after the A, after the P, whatever, I think those are the details that we put in the agreement.
right.
Makes sense.
And how about the individual that fails out, gets kicked out? What happens to them?
Kicked out is, they should pay it back. Fails out, that's not on that. I mean, it is, but can't penalize stupid. Layman's term?
Say that again? Can't fix people, what you said?
Well, I didn't say that.
That's okay. Well, I get it.
Although that
I
is my
get it.
favorite comedian on the planet.
Yeah, stupid is forever.
I would hate to discourage people from
Exactly. that's
making the
my-
effort.
Yeah, if you fail it, I mean, they're not making overtime money. So I've seen people that made overtime money to do this, where I got paid on my day off for overtime to go to the class. And then come time, test time, go, yeah, I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm done, I'm walking out. I just made $30,000 in overtime,
Then
but
it
I'm
should
not
be,
gonna help.
it
You know
should
what I
be,
mean?
it should be a
I've seen that,
discretion.
but yeah,
So to that point, there are tuition reimbursement programs in other industries where at the end of each class or semester, you have to submit your grades, and the amount of tuition that you are reimbursed is based off of the grade. So in A, you would get 100% reimbursement, B 90, and so on down the line.
Will Hope pay for any of that?
I don't know her.
Hope cops.
Oh. No, say, you gotta hope to pay. This is, again, this is all about the backfill. It's,
Well, the only thing we have invested money wise is covering them for 8 hours, whatever the class is. I mean, for that shift, they're being paid to be there. So that's the only actual monetary layout that we actually have. So that would be easy, as well, like what you said.
yeah.
If after a certain period, they haven't scored high enough to go to that next level, they wouldn't be allowed to go to that next level.
It would make sense though to put some discretion there. Maybe we should amend it for some, what, the guy that fails on purpose, or the guy that.
yeah, I think we probably, your points are well taken. I think we probably need to.
I think the other one is, and this is happened, it happened in the class I took, somebody decided they want to cheat on tests. They got caught cheating. on
Well, they have to
tests.
take
got
that
removed from
back.
class. I mean, yeah, you're done.
Okay.
I mean, what happens?
Does it even need to be restated? I
Well, I'm
mean,
just thinking, we've made the motion, we've put the stipulation on it, and we're gotta leave it up to the operations
Okay.
part to write the
we don't have to say
plan,
every
the
little
program,
piece.
yeah, I mean, they're intimate with it. They know what our intent is,
Sarah messed them up with it.
So-
She won't be here.
Well,
What?
I would say on your side, that person needs
You
to be
leave?
fired
Well-
immediately. Immediately, they need.
You won't get to argue, but I've seen it happen.
Yeah, oh, I,
That would be an ethics violation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it happen. And I
Yeah,
said,
I mean,
keep the
they-
job, I've been fired, so.
Okay, well, I say, yeah, motion.
But
stands.
they should know they will You know what I mean? I don't think it should be a surprise when they get halfway through and they do it, and then it's like, well, no, you just lost your job. You know what I mean? No, this is what happens.
Good point. Very good point.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm sure.
All in favor of the motion,
Aye.
signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion passed. With that said, all of you guys will handle the stipulations.
Yes, yes, sir.
Are we gonna have them bring back before the board with the finalize their?
Yeah, just report back the stipulations that you actually have in writing.
Yeah, I'd love to like bring it to you for your approval before we do it, but it starts January 7th.
Right.
Unless you want to have a special meeting for it. we won't,
I think we trust Bob plenty to make it in there.
You can bring it back. All right, is that all for your report for now?
We did that one. I got the pay study report and then the budget request and then I get the show. And I think mostly Ross's problem after that. All right, so the pay study package here, I believe we sent this out to the team yesterday, and I think you all have it here. The first couple pages are the narrative that was put together by firefighter paramedic Lyons, who was instrumental in helping with this project. He took a lot of the salary points, wage points that had been gathered and assembled those, and did really well at decoding some of them, because when you have an annual salary and you say, well, it's $50,000 a year, what does that mean? How many hours are we talking about there? And at what threshold are you paying overtime? And those things they vary widely across the organizations nearest to us. So he has written in these first few pages, sort of detailed explanation of the qualifications, the number of hours they work per year, what the schedule looks like. Many of them do where there's a rate set for basically for a responder, and then that sort of assumes you're a firefighter EMT, and then there's an incentive just added on top of that for higher levels of EMS certification, like for an A or intermediate or paramedic, and some split them out. The next section past the narrative is a table that just shows the what could be the 4 entry-level positions: EMT, AMT, paramedic, and lieutenant, which is not an entry-level position. But listing all the jurisdictions, both their annual and their hourly rate, and then where we are with regard to that. So just looking at the EMT, we're about on the year, we're about 10,000 a year less than average. Or 26.9%, it's $1.62 an hour less than average. And this is where the hours scheduled comes in. We work a 24/7 schedule, which is 2,184 hours a year. Folks that are working a 40-hour week are doing 2,080 hours a year. And as you can see described in the narrative part up here, there are schedules that are folks that are working 2,494 hours. I think there's a 2,700 hour one in here. But that obviously work more hours than, it's more money annually, even if the hourly rate is the same. So that's why we wanted to see the comparison both ways, by hour and by annual wage. The other thing I did, and honestly, I did this because not only are they one of our closest competitors and in the very same retirement system that we are, so it's very easy for an employee to move between Jefferson and Berkeley. They lose nothing in retirement. It's the same system. And I also, just watching the commission meeting when the ECC proposed their wage adjustments, there seemed to be a lot of focus on where are we in relation to Berkeley. So that's why I listed that one out separately here. In full disclosure, we understand that Berkeley Ambulance Authority fully expects a 10 to 15% increase for FY '24. So we base these numbers assuming that there would be a 10% increase in there. And we are, for EMTs, we are hourly, we're 14% below them for EMTs, we're 30% below them for paramedics, and we are 32% below them for lieutenants. It's worse if you look at the annual, but they do have a few more hours in their schedule. Also, something to know about Berkeley Ambulance Authority, that's EMS, they do not have to fight fire. They don't need fire certification. They're not obligated to be on a fire engine. And on the flip side of that, Berkeley Fire, if you look at their numbers across there, it is all the same for an EMT and AEMT and a paramedic because they don't require any of those certifications. So you can come to Jefferson County and be an EMT firefighter for $17.42 an hour, or you can go to Berkeley County, never have to maintain an EMS certification, never have to get an EMT certificate, and make $24.83 an hour. You can come to Jefferson County with basically a 2-year degree as a paramedic and be a firefighter and start at $20.29 an hour, or you can go to Berkeley County being a firefighter, having a firefighter certification, never have to go full with EMSCE and make $24.83 an hour.
So this is what Procter and Gamble gets you. This is what having an interstate running down your county gets you. We don't have that. And you know.
But we have sick people.
You're right, and I get that. And,
What's the call volume compared to Berkeley County?
I don't know the annual call volume off the top of my head.
Yeah, because they're about 110, 120,000, I think, we're like 60,000.
However, you cannot compare apples to apples in that
Yeah.
regard because the city of Martinsburg has a 12-person shift. They can staff 3 ambulances and they cover what 20,000-30,000 of that population within the city. And so it's a little different.
This is great stuff on.
They also,
A ton of grade is what you get when you guys went
I
to.
mean, you've got industry, and as we all know, they don't pay a fee, they pay a fee based upon how big they are, and they're all giant buildings.
They don't have a lot of tree cover.
Well,
Jefferson County.
I mean, Tony, on your street alone, and my street too, they're building 700 houses on one, 800 on the other. The townhouses right here, they're gonna build like 1,200.
that's what we build in
If we
Jefferson County.
Don't do something now.
And that-
I'm not denying any of it. I'm just saying that it's very difficult to come up with numbers to equate and to pay folks like that when we're talking about comparing the county that gets dramatically more money from industry, and industry pays more than the individual household. You can't run it, it's not going to work well.
We keep.
Townhouses, apartments, and single dwelling homes, when you're dealing with, on the other side, the other county is dealing with hundreds of thousands of square foot where a corporation is paying based upon that.
But keep in mind also, Berkeley County has a higher ambulance fee and they also have a fire fee. We have a low ambulance fee and that's that.
I was just gonna say, in this county as well, we haven't, over the past, have not encouraged the industry here that Berkeley County has. And we could probably have been a lot more competitive had we done that, number one. Number two, you're exactly right in the fact that we're building more houses here than any place else. Well, that in itself requires more ambulance service and more emergency services than does any industry anywhere in the state. So that in itself would tell me that these people are well worth the money that they would like to make, and the fact that
Then
they're
that
probably
needs
going
to go to the
twice
public,
the
where the
demand.
public is not complaining about $100 or a $200
I do. think
ambulance
it's
fire.
public.
Right, you know, that's,
This should be made public, and whenever the
It's-
commission argues against it, there should be public there to yell and say.
I don't expect the commissioner is gonna argue against it, I think.
Well, when,
Some of them
I'm
are
just
gonna
saying.
pass
they'll
out
go-
when they see the cost.
I didn't mean it like that.
I'm not naive.
You're my favorite.
Right.
You know that, right?
I understand that 1.2 million is a big ask, but at the same time, when I'm looking at, here's what the numbers are, I'm not gonna come in here and say, well, we should give everybody a 10-cent raise, because that's just an insult.
You don't have to
That's just what-
justify it, Bob. We all agree that this is needed.
Now,
I get what Tony's saying.
Let me, on Tony's thing, let me add to that. This is what has always boggled my mind. I pay for 4 cell phone lines and 1 landline in my home. So I pay about close to $16 a month in E911 fees on my cell phones and 5 at home. So I'm paying $20 a month, we'll say, in E911. So I'm paying $240 a year to have the 911 center. And that's whatever, it's fine. And that's okay, but $40 to pay for the EMTs, paramedics, ambulances to come out when I call 911 is too much. And I don't understand that, but I do, because no one is complaining about what's on their phone bill, because they don't understand it, they don't know what it is. All they see is that, oh, there's taxes and fees. They have no idea whether it's going to Biden or Jackson. They don't know. And that's where it is.
I didn't have any comments, so you can't go to victory.
But still, it's baffling to me. I
because
100% agree the fact that our folks should make.
You raise our ambulance fee to $240 a year, we're probably in good shape, but it's not gonna happen unless you can
And that,
bury it in the
I
phone bill somewhere.
completely agree that you need to go before the county and give this information to them. I'm voicing my concerns in the fact of getting it publicly out there. As a board member, I want the people of Jefferson County to understand that they're not going to get what they need without opening up their checkbooks.
He's got a.
That is just a given. And so that's just me saying that
I think that
it's
falls.
never fun to pay more taxes. It's never fun to pay people more money. But at the end of the day, when you pick up that phone, you want that guy and that guy on the back end of a truck showing up to help you with whatever the problem is. And so, yeah.
And I think I agree with you. And for me, I know this may be taking it somewhere else, but I'd much rather pay that money out to these people who are going to come save my life for some high dollar financial director and some high dollar executive to run the county than what I would or their furniture. Then, you know, I mean, that money's being wasted right now.
I think we should do everything we can while we can.
Yeah.
Before we don't.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
I just, you know, I get frustrated and the commission has been its own work.
So I have a two-part question here. A, when was the last time that the ambulance fee was asked to be increased?
Yeah, I think the last week. they did.
Price?
Pretty much been requested
Yeah.
every year, right? It's requested.
But the sad part about it is, I don't think you're gonna have.
No one wants to be the person to raise tax.
You'll have a fight with the public survey, not near as much as with the commission. Because don't remember, the commission, not long ago, always also said that once this whole thing turns over in March, they can do away with the fee. And the revenue to come off the building is going to be. They're the one you gotta convince. And the public, but you're gonna have a much more time to convince the commission than your general public. I totally agree. I mean, you're right. Get rid of the tree huggers and get some business in this place like they have been for the past 20 years.
Well, we just had, I think it was 3 businesses. I
My
can't
man
remember all,
said
the
tree
dry
hugger.
pros just closed and moved out.
Right.
And Inkwells in downtown Charlestown just closed up.
Yeah.
There was a certain, somehow.
My jiu-jitsu academy. in there.
But I mean, we just had probably in the last month, I can't think of the third one, but we just had, I mean, those are pretty much small businesses that have closed up. You're right, we don't have people knocking on our door and begging to come here
What you had,
because of some of
but
the
in the
funding.
past 2 years, you had a couple of businesses who expressed interest in coming in, but then they turned around and they left when you see all the fight the Rockwool
Yeah.
had.
I'm still waiting for Rockville to ask, because I keep seeing all these signs that say no, but they've never asked.
I mean.
So the second part, of the 3.1 million increase that's proposed with the budget, how much of that is going to be recouped through billing? And then if there was a proposal for ambulance fee increase, have we looked into the delta between that and what would be needed?
This board generally does not even recommend to the commission where they find the funding. We tend to tell them what we need, and then the board can do whatever they want. You recommend whatever you want. The estimate, like I said earlier, the estimate on billing revenue is it'll be around 1.4. But that's, that's not gonna use the numbers.
Right, so that's the delta I'm talking about with 3.1.
1.78.
That's the, yeah.
So that either has to come from the county budget or another fund by raising the ambulance fee.
Keep in mind with the county budget,
Well, they've got a windfall right now. They got money.
but that is not operations money. That's one-time expense kind of money. You can't, because you can't count on that year after year after year. The other issue, the other issue that you have with the county budget is, what is it, 75% of it goes directly to the Board of Education, and the commission has zero control over it. And so then out of the remaining 25-30 million, we're one department asking for 7, and there's a sheriff's office, and there's 911 center. Well, the 911 center is almost entirely funded by that 911 fee. No one's upset about it. I'm not upset about it either.
Well, because they don't see it.
I don't think the commission has factored in to some money is paid
Under here.
attorney and lawyer fees to go after the non-payment. So they're gonna be able to figure it out.
Yeah, that's not me.
I know.
They're not gonna look at non-payment.
Okay.
So do you need us to make a motion to ask you to take this before the commission? Is that what you're requesting?
Not yet.
Okay.
We'll do that all in one at the, is that my next item? Which I hope is my last item.
Oh. So you're gonna put it under new business, under, it's gonna go with the new business.
Oh, you'll take a check. I'll write you a check. I thought it was money you wanted.
Okay, so then
Paying cryptocurrency.
you want to say, or you want to go?
Continue on.
I know you're going to announce that we're going to new business.
Okay, new business.
So the new business is the FY 24 JCESA budget request, which is what I went over with you, what I presented in the ambulance fee hearing, and then what we have discussed the pieces and parts of throughout this meeting. So this is the opportunity for the board to say, take this out, add this on, we support this, you're crazy, whatever.
You just want to support for it?
Well, if you support it, yeah. If you support it, yeah. If you don't, no.
I was going to say I do support it.
Yeah.
I just had one thing.
So under license and service contracts, you're going for 23. Well, 100.
Where you at?
Yes.
147.
It's actually probably gonna end up being more than that. It is very, very expensive. I mean, the cardiac monitors, they're $42,000 now. The next version of them that comes out will be well over $50,000 a piece. So there's, however many, we already had the ones, some here that were covered, but the 10 that we've got to get covered. Cots are $30,000 a piece, the stair chairs are $4,000 a piece, the Lucas devices are $17,000 a piece. And the maintenance on these, a battery for one of these things is $500.
Don't forget, we used to pay for this. We paid for it.
So right now, the latest estimate we have for just the basic maintenance agreement is gonna be $230 a year. That we're trying to see what we can do with that.
Financial brilliance. It's really amazing how the bonus we've done it for years and years and years.
Are you giving them that? Is that what's going on?
After this,
Oh, okay. I was checking.
Don't dig in on it.
I was half listening. So, all right, so from what I gather, Steve supports, I support. Tony,
What's that?
The
The budget?
for the approved budget.
Yeah, I mean,
What about you?
if I'm told this is what it's gonna cost, I gotta look to the person, the folks who do the work. I'm just here as someone who's looking out for the people of Jefferson County, and if someone, the subject matter expert tells me it's 1.2, I mean 7.2,
I just think the public should know what the citizens reps are.
I've gotta take their subject matter expert and say, hey, go before the county and say, we need $7.2 million.
Again, my only question is, where is the funding coming from, the increase?
Well, that's what we're, yeah, so we're, that the commission, I think that part out, that's right.
We
They're
are
hoping
hoping
that
that
it
comes
comes
from
from
ambulance billing.
Can they increase?
Well, again, we're talking 1.4 million in projected bill for ambulance, but that again leaves a 1.8 delta, which if you look at the number of households, that would result in about a $48.85 increase in the ambulance fee cost.
So we're
household,
telling
I
basically,
mean,
we're telling the
that's-
commission to increase the tax.
Let me, before you all do anything with this, I do want to point out that I did not ask for additional staffing this year, and I want to explain to you why. There's two reasons. One is because we're already approved to go find 9 paramedics and 3 MTs right now, and we can't get paramedics, so why am I gonna get more funding?
So I had a question
People I
about
can
that too,
hire?
real quick.
Go ahead.
Is Berkeley County, are the local jurisdictions around us also seeing this issue?
Yes.
Okay.
Even Fairfax can't find them.
That
Everybody's
is,
a cat.
Nobody, I got
No. fire
Norfolk,
station.
Virginia, any place I know that I have EMS folks that are friends of mine.
that this
They're
is,
all shut.
this
No,
is
No.
Nobody.
One's
nationwide.
offered a $20,000 sign-on bonus. They haven't got it.
Really?
Right.
No,
Hey,
Hey,
Sarah, it's not a bad spot in Florida, let me tell you. It's not
Blow
a
up
bad
those
spot.
bridges, you won't be able to get over them.
All right, here's the second reason that I'm not asking for, I mean, I think the first one is enough not to ask for more people, but the second reason I'm not asking for more people is that we have to stop the bleeding and take care of the people that we have. Because if we just keep things the way they are and we're just gonna be, it's gonna be a turnstile. And we don't wanna be churning through the, what we can get for the lowest amount of money.
Can you go into more of where the money's coming from, like basically how this is gonna work? I think that's the question. That's kind of where.
So here's what happened. So the,
Acknowledging we've asked you this.
yeah,
a bunch of
no.
times, sorry, kind of click on.
Next month, all the budget requests will be due, so every department and every component agency will submit something like this. Some of them do it in their fancy schmancy Tyler system. I'll have a spreadsheet. And typically, the budget director, the finance director will assemble that all that information into the budget binder. You think we kill trees, right? So it'll have in there, it'll have all the details of what each department, what they had last year, what they're asking for this year, what the difference is, what the increase is by line item in the department, and it'll also include the revenue projections for FY '24 along with revenue received year to date. So that's where the commission sits down with the neatest, I guess, the most consolidated summary of it is kind of a table that says, here's what everybody's asking for, and here's how short we'll be if we do all that. And it comes down to a number that says, there's $20 million too much on this. We have to go through here and cut 20 million out. Or they find out, now Commissioner Jackson, this is your area of expertise, but
I don't know why we're talking about this. It
I was
doesn't
just gonna
matter
say,
where the money comes
He
from.
can't
All
really
we want to
answer
do is
that
send them, we
question.
want 7
He's
points.
just gonna ask the question. He's gonna do the ask.
So we're
Really can't tell you.
We're not gonna find the money.
That's up to you.
That's their job.
exactly.
And they just need to know that the decisions that they've made up to this point has got us to this point. And see us need any more discussion. We just need to
That was a
Yeah, he
previous,
can't-
Deny,
it's always a
pass
previous.
the motion that we think Bob.
then I would like to make a motion that we approve Bob's request for fiscal 2024 JCSA budget.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion before we move to vote? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed.
I'm gonna abstain from the vote because I will be on the commission. to make
That's
the
fair.
deciding factor.
Let it be known that the commissioner abstained. Motion passed.
Did, all the citizens rep vote in favor of that?
Everybody was.
Okay. Then I would like some of the stuff to be made public, and I would also like the public to know that all the citizens rep did vote in favor of it, and the commission too.
Well, I mean, all
I don't know
this
what
goes
motion we
on,
can make.
all this will go on the
Public
website.
now.
They can all go up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who's
By
doing
tomorrow?
you can disseminate information.
Debbie's pretty good about getting it onto the website. They just have to go look for it.
Yeah.
Remember
We're
the
not
guy,
gonna mail it out.
remember the guy with the fire department? They had every social media thing ever for a while. Yes, we need those guys.
We can always spend $35,000 for advertising like the commission did.
Or we can just take a
Or
clip
yeah.
of the YouTube.
That's no
video.
joke. That's not true.
You gotta get them in like, dang, it's
That's
not,
not true.
it's not gonna feel right. that you can't.
Or the general public can take their civic duty and they can go look for information.
Correct.
If they want to know, they can find it. They don't want to know, they.
Yeah. Here, she knows. We all voted for it. There you go. I'm done, right?
Wait. No? Well, I don't know, maybe you are done.
I asked for the next one we put on there. Is this the fire department funding?
Volunteer fire department.
I asked so that we didn't end up in a situation we did last year with a snowstorm and no request being put in and it being listed as they don't want any money and, yeah. I'm gonna make sure we got something in for volunteers. I'll send it. This board just needs to tell me what to send.
What are we? Oh, okay. Never mind.
I think, Mary.
That's what she was this year.
But, yeah, we were told that.
So it's the same, nothing's different.
I mean,
That's what it
You think
costs,
it's
right?
I don't know
That's, I don't have a
I think-
request.
You have it here.
Well, you got to.
I got a whole book over here. I'm trying to get through. Y'all are going so quick. I'm
Bob's
like,
just asking for numbers. The volunteer fire department funding for the companies.
yeah. Defer to
Those were,
experts.
the pile you had was fiscal year 23, those were submitted to the county commission just this past month.
This is it, 82,500.
I think
That's what they were allocated this year.
577,500. So in our capacity as fire board, we just need to say, yeah, we approve you asking that.
Well, if that's the request you want to put forward.
Is that what the fire departments want?
That's your
To keep
number.
it the same as last
Number-
Yeah, which is that
The
82,500
82,500.
per department.
year?
All right, now I'm making a motion that we approve.
No, for each.
Let me get back here.
I'm gonna
Yeah, that's
abstain
what
from
we're
this.
That's what the fire department did, to keep. Right, Mike?
Keep it flat.
I don't remember us having that. We didn't have that discussion. Oh. Maybe we didn't have a discussion. I'll track back.
So somebody putting, are we having a
Yeah, I'll-
discussion or are we doing a
I'm-
Well,
motion?
I'll make a motion that we,
Wait, hold
Wait,
up.
wait, wait.
oh, sorry,
We can't make a motion if we don't have a request.
understood.
We need to get a full request. Now,
Okay.
what we can do to speed up things so that things don't get lost is we can approve a request forthcoming from them. And we can put on there provided it doesn't go above whatever.
What's your above number right there?
3.5 million?
Well, you just had the number.
Yeah, I would just multiply that. He's talking about in addition to.
No, we're talking about.
This is fire department. volunteer fire
We're both fired.
I was about how we got that.
He's making that up.
No, that was what.
You gotta have
When do you need that by,
Next month?
I really don't know because I haven't seen the schedule yet this year. Usually by now we've got the schedule and they want this stuff, but I know it'll be sometime in January. It's gotta be for them to be able to get through things. Assuming it will be before our January meeting because it usually is, like, I really don't know.
Well, we'll be meeting on the, what's that, third of this?
Then we'll make that the hot topic. To get your number, and then we'll, Chief Lawson will send it to you.
So we just want to keep the can then?
And so is the board's telling me, take the number that Chief Watson gives me and submit that?
Not to exceed, what was the final tally? 600.
We never said that.
Not to exceed, it was
600.
577.
No, I'm saying 600.
Hold on.
No, there.
No, we're not.
No, we didn't say that. Only thing I was doing, I just threw that number at you because that was what we did last year.
Pending next month's request.
I wouldn't put an exceed number on, I would just wait to see what you say.
Not to exceed 600,000, though, so it was at 577, I think. Should we just put it exactly?
Well, so the motion,
Way up.
well, it should be that
Inflation's 9%.
Director Burner submit the number that.
Oh, well, actually, well, tell me what you want.
3.5 million.
And you'll have it to them by
January, right.
January.
Okay, we're close that again.
That would be a good motion.
That,
Yeah, we meet on the January 3rd, first Tuesday.
I'm abstaining from the
Then why
the
not?
vote, so this
What's
is
the
somebody
thing?
else. You want me to,
That, this is what we got last year. And I was only assuming.
I make the motion that Director Burner submits with the Volunteer Fire Rescue Association number submits to him by the budget request.
Yes, sure.
There a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed?
I'm abstaining once again because it's budget.
Commissioner abstained. Motion passed. Discussion of ESA supported fire levy. I don't know where we can go any further on this right now until we get more information back from the fire from rescue.
Well, I asked Tony about this last week, and he said that his issue with the levy was that he drove a Chevy to the levy.
Jesus
Somebody.
That was the corniest joke I've
I
heard.
did not bring my gun tonight, but somebody shoot that gun.
I was gonna say you're pretty handy with that knife.
Yeah, I'm sitting over here.
So I believe that we need to table this until we get more information from the Fire and Rescue Association on where they're going with the levy. Because it's hard for us to support something we don't know exactly what they're gonna do.
So I move we table it till next month, I guess.
Well,
It's kind of piecemeal.
Yeah, it's stable until we bring it back.
I'm just worried if they come back and, okay, yeah. that's-
table it until we get the information.
Yeah.
Do you want to leave it as a, like a standing item on the agenda? That way, whatever month there's information, then you can talk about it?
Yes.
I would.
Please.
Put it on the new business for.
Did someone second that?
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying.
No,
You say, I thought that we're supposed to be the fire.
We're gonna table it.
Provided by the.
Fire and Rescue Association. But we want to keep it on the.
You want it in your emails or is it gonna be in your?
I think it's got to
You
be.
can put it in our- But we need to keep it on.
I remember what I said. Yeah.
Unfinished. Unfinished.
Yeah.
I got it.
All right, anything else come before the meeting this evening?
I got it.
All right, probably did everything.
Yes.
Oh, we gotta do this.
I'm going to Tony for clerk.
Meeting's adjourned.
I did motion it. Got a motion to adjourn. I motion that we adjourn,
Oh, I'm sorry.
December meeting.
All in favor?
Sorry, Twinkie, that was a long meeting, man. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I remember when you guys went up there.